Hi guys, this is Ranish Malhan from Pixcompose. Today we are going to move further in our course, which is Photoshop for beginners. I hope you are liking the course. If you get any doubts regarding our course or Photoshop, you can ask me anytime. Now, in this course today we are going to learn what are the pattern tool and how to use it and how we can apply the patterns in many different ways. So let's get started. So firstly I will create a new, you can say, a document. So we have a new document right now. We want to apply a texture over here. How we can do that? For that we have to go to the clone stamp. Here you can see that we have clone stamp tool and here we have the pattern stamp tool. So right now we are going to use the pattern stamp tool. I can click here. Now I can increase the size of this brush like we did in the brush tool. We have to press the right bracket key to increase the size of this brush. Also, if we press the left bracket key, it will decrease the brush size. If we go in the options bar, here we can see that we can reduce or increase the size from here to. We can change the profile of the brush. We want to use some other type of brush, we can use that. We can change the softness of the brush. You can see that if I move it to 100%, our brush will be 100%, you can say that, hard. And if I reduce this one, our edges will be softer. So in this way we can adjust it. Now we want to paint a pattern here. How we can do that? Just click and start painting. You can see that we are painting it very well, like this. Now the next question is how to get these patterns. So how I can select a pattern to paint over here? For that I will press Ctrl Z so that I can undo everything. Now I want to change a pattern. I want to work with something else. I can go here in the options bar. Here you can see that we have the patterns, and from here I can select any type of pattern which is available. Like here you can see that we have trees, we have grass, we have water. So I can select one. Like I want to work with this one, the third one. So let's start paint. You can see that I am painting over here like this. We can also rotate it if I change the angle. Now I can type in here like 60 degrees. Now if I paint now, you can see that our texture will be rotated. Like let's rotate it more. Here you can see that we have checked the aligned. That's why we are not getting the effect here. We have to uncheck it. Now if I start painting over here, you will notice the difference like this. If I increase it, if I increase the rotation angle, so in this way we can use this tool. There are a lot of ways to apply the textures in the Photoshop, so let's check those out. So the another way to apply the pattern, I can go here in the adjustment layers. We can apply a pattern with the adjustment layer. I can go here. Here you can see that I have a options panel here for the pattern fill. So now I can rotate the texture like this if I want. Also I can scale it like this. You can see that. Also right now I can click on OK. So in this way we can apply that pattern over here. We can change the pattern if we want it later. Like I want to change it now, I don't want it, so I can easily change it properly. So now I can also use the layer mask which we have here. If I want to apply this texture on certain area of the image, so I can start painting with the black color. If I want, you can see that we are getting a texture fill because we have selected the pattern stamp tool. Instead we have to select the brush tool to paint on the layer mask. So by pressing B, I have selected the brush tool. So now if I paint with the black color, you can see that we are hiding the texture, and if I paint with the white color, you will see that we are revealing the texture. So in this way we can apply a texture on certain area of the image very easily. We will try to apply this pattern on a original image. We will download an image and try to fill certain area of that image with this texture, like a wall or something. So basically the next method to apply this pattern is by the layer styles. Basically why I like to apply the texture with the layer styles or adjustment layers, because I have availability, or you can say that I have the feature to change the texture or texture properties later. So basically if I create a layer here, like I have created a shape layer, so now I want to apply a pattern over it. So I can double click here in the layers panel on the layer. Here you can see that we have a huge list. We can select the pattern overlay. So you can see that we have the same options which we got with the adjustment layers. Here you can see that we can change the pattern very easily, like this. You can see that the texture is updating in the real time. So now we can move the texture if I want with the mouse, like this. Also I can rotate it. Friends, this feature of rotating the texture is only available in the June update of the Photoshop. In the previous versions of the Photoshop, this feature is not available. So now this one is very good feature. If I rotate it, you can see that we can change the texture. We can rotate the texture very easily with this. Every other feature which is present here is available in all the versions of the Photoshop. Only this one is not available in the previous versions. So now we can change the scale of the pattern. Now think about it. A client demands to change the pattern. How we can do it? If I painted with the, you can say that stamp tool, stamp tool, at that time you can't change it properly. You have to repaint it again. But here, if I want to change it, I can double click here on the pattern overlay, and here we can make some changes. We can change the texture from here very easily. You can see that one is very easy. So this is a very handy way according to me. I can click on OK. So here if I turn this off, again we will try to do the same thing with this. I can click here and we can try to make changes, or we can delete it if we want. So now let's try to apply this texture on a image, on a real image. How we can do that? Basically if I go in the browser, if I open the browser, let's download an image. Like I want to apply this texture on the wall. How we can do that? So basically we can go to the pixels.com. From here you can get the free images for your commercial use. These images are free from the copyright. The copyright for these images are free. So basically I am going to search for something like wall, or let's say street. Let's go with the wall. So basically we have the wall. Now if I want to apply the texture on any wall, how we can apply that? We have to make the selection of that wall. Let's try to work on this one. This one is very old wall, so we have many things to work on. So I'm going to free download it. Click on free download and we will have the image. Now I'm going to share the link with you in the live chat so that you can copy that link and open the website so that you can follow along with me. If you get any doubts regarding this or anything else, you can ask me anytime. I can help you out, or you can ask me after this session on my social media handles. I will answer you. So now here you can see that we have the image. I am going to bring the image in the Photoshop. So the image is opening in the Photoshop. You can see that we have the image. Now we have to make the selection to work on. Here you can see that we have the grunge area. So we have to make a selection of this area so that we can exclude this area from the texture. We want to apply the texture only on this wall. How we can do that? So let's start making the selection. So basically I want to make the selection of this. For that I am going to select and mask. Let's try with it. So I am going to reduce the transparency so that we can see the unselected area, so that we can make the selection. We can also do it like this. We can use the quick selection tool if we want. Increase it so that we can see the selection. By the way, the smart way of doing the selection is, firstly you see where you want to plant the image and what area it will cover, how much area it will cover, and try to select only that area in the image. Like I want to select this area, but I am going to select whole area so that we can see how to select the TDS selections, how to make the TDS selections in the Photoshop. So we will select whole wall. Now I will deselect the area which I don't want, like this one. So now here you can see that we have lot of area in our selection. We can increase it. We can select this area too if we want. We can reduce the size with left bracket key. Like this. Now I will decrease the transparency so that I can see more area. We can make the selection here because I want to add this area too, like this. We have to deselect this area, these bricks. I don't want these bricks in the selection. Here you can see that we have the selection of the wall. and now we have to extract this area. So basically firstly what I will do here, I will increase the transparency. So this is the selection which I have right now, and now let's try this edge refinement tool. This will try to refine the edge. So we have to click here on this bush like this. You can see that it is deselecting the bush like this, and it is doing very well job. But here it is not working because the brick color and the bush color are same, almost same, you can say that. So here we will try to do it with some other technique. So now what I am going to do, I am going to smooth the selection little bit. Now we are going to give little bit of feather. Now we will increase the contrast so that the translucent areas will become opaque like this. Now we will shift the edge so that we don't have any area which we don't want to make, which we don't want in the selection. So we can reduce it little bit. So now here I can click OK. So we have the selection here. Here you can see that. Now I can go in the channels. We will try to do some channel masking so that we can select this area properly. We will try this channel masking. If we get good contrast in the channels, then we can do it. But I don't think that we will get the good contrast here. Here you can see that the colors are almost same for this stick of the bush and the bricks. But let's try it. So here you can see that we have the red channel, this one is the blue channel, green channel, and the red channel. Here you can see that in the red channel we have little bit of contrast. We can use that, I think so, or we can also go with the green channel, but I will be with the red channel. So I am going to take the copy of the red channel. Here we have with the copy of the red channel. Now I will go to the adjustments, and here we have the curves, or we can use the levels. Here we have the levels. Now we will try to increase the contrast between the stick and, you can say that, and the bark, or the stick, or the wooden part of that bush like this. But it will be not good. So now what I am going to do, I am going to delete it. Now let's move back in the image. Now I will try to use this one, the lasso tool. So we are going to increase it. We are going to zoom in. Now I will try to make the selection of this part. So I can click here like this. We can click here. We can click here like this. So we have the selection here of this part. Now I can go to the layer mask here. I can fill it with the black like this. So now let's make the selection of other part. Like I want to select this one so that we can hide this one. So here you can see that we have selected it. So in this way you can spend more time and try to select it properly. So now what I am going to do, I am going to apply the pattern. So applying a pattern was our main motive here. So now what we are going to do here, basically here we have the adjustment layer. I am going to apply with that. So here you can notice that we have the pattern layer. So I am going to use that. Click OK. Now we have the black color filled in the layer mask. That's why we can't see it properly. So I can fill it with the white. Now you can see that we have the pattern only. So now I will clip mask it to our selection. Here you can see that. Now we will try to, or we can unhide the rest of the part in the image. So now what we need to do, you can see that this one is not well composited here. So basically we have to composite it properly. Here what we need to do, basically I will go here, double click here, and here we can reduce the scale. Firstly I want to reduce the scale like this. Now we want to apply this as a painting, this as a texture on this wall. How we can do that? Basically we have to apply it as a paint. So I can double click it here. So now here you can see that we have the blend if option. So here we have to tell this texture or this pattern that if you see any blacks, blend in the blacks. If you see any brights, blend in the brights. So for that, if I move this left slider, it will try to blend our texture with the beneath layers darker areas. And if I try to move the right one towards the left, it will try to blend the pattern with the brighter areas of the beneath layers. So I can click and drag it like this. Now I can click and drag it like this, like this. Now we want something, you can say that we want some smoother transition between the highlights and shadows. So for that what we can do, we can hold the Alt key and click on this slider and start dragging it towards the where on the right side. Basically what we are doing, we have splitted this slider so that we can get something like, you can say that a transition effect. So basically now it will dissolve or it will blend in the darker side, on the darker sides smoothly. So we can adjust both the sliders of the darker sides like this. If we want, we will do the same thing with the right side slider, which one is for the highlights. You can see that. So you can see that we are getting a very good effect. Like we have these leaves in the wall. So we can further modify these leaves very well. How we can do that? We can use the brush tool and go to the pattern fill layer mask. Here we will paint in the layer mask with the black. Now I can reduce the size of the brush like this. Now we can paint it like this. If we want, we can paint it where we don't want this texture, like this. Now you can see that we are getting a very good thing. We have a very good thing. It is we can say that it looks like this one is the old wall, and there are many plants grown on this wall. So now we can also load some textures in the Photoshop for free. How we can do that? For that we have to go to the website from where we can get so many of presets for the free. So basically that one is from I think 𝗲𝗍𝗍 or 𝗲𝗍𝗍𝗁𝗍. Yeah, it is 𝗲𝗍𝗍. I'm going to give you the link of this site in the live chat. Copy this link from there. So you have this link in the live chat. So now we can search here for something like, you can say that I want some patterns. So I can go here and enter, press enter. So here we have patterns. There are so many patterns that we can use in the Photoshop. Here you can see that we have some fabrics, we have many things here of our use, like water, leaves, floral designs. There are many things, we can download them. Let's download a design from here. So I want to use the stone walls fabric like this one. We can also download the mandala. So we have lot of tabs opened here. So now I can click on free download. You can see that the counter is on. Now we have the download dialog box. We can click on start download, and here we have, you can see that we have downloaded the brush. So how to distinguish between the brushes, between the gradients and the patterns? So basically here you have the file types. So basically we need the patterns. We can select the patterns from here. So we will have only the patterns. So these are the patterns only. So we can click here like this one. We can click on free download, and the counter is on again. Great. So we have the download dialog box. I can click here. Download is started and we have downloaded it. Now click on open folder and we will get a zip file. So this one is the zip file of our pattern. I can right click here and extract to this one like this. So now I can go here, I can click here. So here we have the file. The extension of this file is pat. So we have to copy this file, copy it to see program files Adobe, and here we have the Adobe Photoshop 2020, and here we know that we have downloaded the preset for our Photoshop. So we have to go to the preset folder. I can click here. So we have all presets here. So we have to search for the folder of patterns. So basically we will check where are the patterns here. You can see that we can download and install lot of presets in the Photoshop. So here you can see that we have the patterns folder. So now I can click here. You can see that we have the pattern files. The type of this file is pat. So we can right click here and paste it, the copied file. We can continue, press continue, and here we have the patterns. So now you can see that. Let's see, will we get the pattern in the Photoshop right away, or we have to restart the Photoshop? So now we want to apply a pattern here. So for that I am going to apply, you can say that the pattern adjustment layer. We have the pattern adjustment layer. I can click here. So you can see that we have 3 folders here, but we need to open the newly download pattern file here. So for that we can check that we have available in the Photoshop, or we have to restart the Photoshop. I can click on the gear icon. This one is the gear icon. I can click here, and here you can see that we don't have the pattern file. We can also import the pattern file if we click on the import patterns, and we can navigate to that folder, or I can restart the Photoshop. So let's check it out. Because we have already installed the pattern, so that's why we can restart the Photoshop. We don't have to import the pattern. So for that I'm going to close all the files, and now we have to restart it like this. So we will download another file in the Photoshop, for the Photoshop pattern file, and we will try to install it within the Photoshop from the Photoshop. So how we can do that? You can see that we have reopened the Photoshop. So here I can open a file, or we can create a new file. I can click here. So you can see that we have this file opened. Now I can go to the patterns, and here you can see that we have 3 folders. I can go here, and we have to append the default patterns. You can see that the pattern files are not updated right now. So this must be a bug. So we have another way to append or to bring the file in the Photoshop. For that, what we will do, so firstly let's try from here. You can see that we don't have any pattern file, newly installed pattern file. I can click on the import patterns, and we can go to the downloads where we have downloaded it. We can go here and go here, images, pattern folder, and here you can see that we have the pattern file in the downloads folder. I can click on load. So now we have the folder of our newly downloaded patterns. So I can click here. So here you can see that we have all the patterns here. I can click on a pattern to start drawing. You can see that we can start painting straight away like this, or we can use the adjustment layer. So here we have the adjustment layer. We can go here, we can select the pattern here, we can increase the size, we can reduce the size if we want, and we can click OK. So now you can see that was very easy, and you know that we can easily create some architectural drawings very easily here with the patterns. Like we have a CAD drawing, AutoCAD drawing of the architectural plan. So we bring it here right away and start applying the texture. Like the architect want to show a lawn area in the drawing. How we can do that? We can select that area and try to apply the pattern on that area of a grass. So in that way we can complete a architectural drawing and try to show some reality in that drawing with these patterns very easily. So do you know that we can also create these patterns? How we can do that? So basically, like you all know that we have a grid here. So if I go here and try to create a new document, and here I have to uncheck the artboard. We all know the artboard. We have discussed about those in the last session. So we can click on create. So if I turn off this, or let's say if I create a new layer and turn this off, you can see that we have a transparency grid. So basically this one is also a pattern. So basically let's try to make a pattern like this. How we can make it? So let's start working on that. Like I want to create a pattern like this. So for that I have to create a sphere like we have this one. Now we can alt click and start drag it towards the right. Now we have another box. So now we will select both and try to drag them down with the alt key. Now you can see that we have the copies of those boxes. Now we have 4 boxes and we want to make this pattern in the Photoshop. How we can do that? Here you can see that we have to apply the color. Like here you can see that we have a white color. Firstly we will go with the white color like this one. So we want it in the white color like the same. Now we will change it to something like gray like this. So this color is okay. So now we can change it to the same. So now we have a pattern here. We want to convert this thing in the pattern. So how we can do that? So basically I am going to select these 4. Now we can go to the define pattern. So we can click here. You can see that it is selecting the whole area. So now what we can do, in this condition we have to make a selection of this area. We can make a selection or we can crop this area to this. So I am going to crop this area like this. Now crop this side and crop this side like this. So now we are going to commit the change. Here we have the pattern which we want to create in the Photoshop. I am going to edit, and here you can see that define pattern. Now we can change the name of this pattern like the transparency grid. Great. So you can see that we have a pattern over here. I can click OK. So now we want to apply this pattern in another image. So how we can do that? So basically I want to apply that pattern in this document. How we can do that? Here you can see that I have applied this pattern earlier. So now we are going to change this pattern to the newly created pattern. So I am going to click here, and here you can see that we can select a pattern from here. We can scroll down, and at the bottom of all patterns, previously installed patterns, we can see our newly created pattern. So I can select that. You can see that we have the pattern. This one is very big, so we have to decrease the size of this grid so that it can mimic the original grid. Let's increase the size one by one. You can see that we have the original transparency grid here. We have mimicked it very well, and we have the original looking grid here. So in this way you can create the patterns. You can also create the patterns from the original images. You can download the images from the pixels.com, or you can say that 𝗍𝗶𝗍𝗁.com. There are a lot of free stock images websites which are very good. So we can use those sites to download the images and try to make some patterns. Let's say I'm going to the pixels.com. So here we have the pixels.com. Let's make something realistic real pattern. So here you can see that we have like this. I want to convert this image into a pattern. How we can do that? I don't know whether it will look good or not, but we will try that. So click on free download. I am going to copy this link in the live chat. Please download this image and try to follow along with me, so that if you get any doubts you can ask me and I can help you. So here you can see that we have the image and the image is downloading actually. So let's see where is the image. So here you can see that we have the image here. Now we are going to open this in the Photoshop like this. The image will be opened. Here we have the image properly. So firstly, to create, or you can say that to convert it into the pattern, we have to make sure that there is no seam in the image if we repeat it. So to check that, what is the way to check that? Basically, we can go in the filters. Filters are very good thing in the Photoshop. We will see them properly here. We will try to see them how to use them. We will not see, we are not going to see all the filters, but we will try to see all the filters which are very important for you. Basically, we are going to use the filter, and firstly we will select the image, and here you can see that we have other, and here we will have the offset. Here we have the offset. So now we are going to move it horizontally. Like if we are going to repeat it on the right side or on the left side, will we get the seam? So to see it, we will try to move it. You can see that the image is repeated from the center, and here you can notice that we have a line. This line we denote it as a seam. Here you can see that we have a line. We have to clear this line so that if we repeat it, it will look like a pattern. So to make it a pattern, like a pattern, what we need to do here, we need to start cloning. We need to do some cloning here. So basically, or we can do this thing. If I go here, we will try this thing. If we want, we can select it, or we can make a copy of it. You can also use the Ctrl+J shortcut to make a copy of this. So basically I am going to make a selection here, a small selection. Let's try to deal with this part firstly. So I have this selection. Now I am going to press Shift F. So you can see that we have selected the content aware here. I can click OK here. You can see that the software is calculating the result, and here you can see that we don't have the seam right now. The seam is cleared properly. Now we can do the same thing with this. So we can use the Shift F5 to fill. Now select it. Now you can see that again the seam is cleared properly. Let's move further. We are going to select this area. Now press Shift F5. Now press OK. Like this. Also try to select this area, Shift F5. Great. So you can see that we have cleared this area properly. Here we have something left. We have to clear it out properly. For that I am going to press Shift F5. Great. Here I have noticed a seam. I can press Ctrl F5, Shift F5. You can see that like this. We can select here, we can press OK after pressing the Shift F5. Now again work here, Shift F5, like this. Now you can notice that we don't have a stream if we repeat it on the right side or on the left side. Now we will deal with the upper side and the bottom side. If we repeat it on the upper side or to the bottom side, what we will get? For that I will go to the filter, and here we have the other, here we have the offset. Basically offset is like we are moving the image over and over. So we are going here. Now we can try to move it like this. So we can click OK here. Here you can see that we have the seam. We can press Shift F5 and try to fill it properly. You can see that we are not getting a good result here. How we can deal with it? So basically I will press Ctrl D or Ctrl Z to undo. Sorry, I can press Ctrl D. Now we don't have that result, but we have that result. I am going to press Ctrl Z. Now I can press Ctrl D. We have the seam again. So now I can go here, or we can make a selection of this area. So the selection is made. Now I can go here in the edit. Here you can notice that content aware fill. We can go here. Now this will opens up the window of content aware. We will get some more, you can say that, options. You can see that we are getting a good result now. The result is very good now. We can live with it. So here we can click OK because I am happy with the result. Here you can see that the result is very good. So now we can convert this in the, you can say that, pattern, but I will check on the right and left side because we cleaned this area here, and I think that this would mess up with the right and left. So for that I am again going to the other, and here we have the offset. So here you can see that, oh sorry, we can press Ctrl Z. Here you can see that we have another layer. So now what we need to do, we need to merge this layer, merge layers. So now these two layers are now one layer. So now if I go to the filter, and here we can see something like other. Now we have the offset. You can see that we have a little seam over here. We can change it to 0 like this. Now we will have little bit of seam like this one. We can work on that with Shift F5, press OK, like this. So let's have a look here. Now we don't have a seam in this image, so we can use it as a pattern. So I can go here, let's test it like a pattern. So I'm going here in the edit menu, and here we have something called define pattern. I can click here, and here we can change it to the old building like this. I can press OK. Now we can apply that texture, that pattern over here. How we can do that? You know that we already applied a texture here. Here you can notice that the transparency grid. So I can click here and I can change the pattern. You can see that we have newly created pattern. We can increase the size of this pattern if I want. We can dial up the size like this. You can see that we had only a single window and we multiplied it so many times in just some clicks. Now we can apply this one anytime and we can use it anytime. We can also clean it more if we want, but this one is good and this design is very good. So I am wrapping up for today's session. We will move further in the next session, which is going to be held on the 1st of July. So thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe us and do press the bell icon so that you can get all the notifications of our videos on time. And if you get any doubts regarding the Photoshop, don't hesitate to ask me anytime on my social media handles. All the links to my social media handles are provided in the description below, so check them from there, and if you get any doubts, please get back to me. I will help you out. Thanks for watching.